Welcome to the Mess Hall, the show that features our U.S. veterans whipping up some scrumptious dishes and sharing a few of their favorite recipes. Today we're on the road as we visit the Williams Inn, a beautiful 65-room facility in Williamstown, Massachusetts, just a stone's throw away from Williams College. We pop in today on USMC vet Chef Pete Belmonte, who's taking some time out of his busy schedule to give us one of my all-time favorite dishes. All right, let's get with Chef Peter and start cooking. Now, folks, a great pleasure to introduce my guest veteran chef for today, Chef Pete Belmonte, executive chef of the Williams Inn in Williamstown, Massachusetts. My man, thank you so much.
Good morning.
Great to be here.
Very nice to see you.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Thanks for making this happen because I know how busy you've been for like the last 12 months, just nonstop, but we really appreciate you being on the Mess Hall.
It's been a ride, and it is my pleasure.
Well, thank you very much. We're looking for beef stroganoff today. Is that what we're doing?
We're going to do a little clam chowder.
My favorite.
We're going to leave the stroganoff in France.
There you go. Hey, the one thing about Chef Pete, when he gets a recipe in his mind, he ain't changing.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start out, we're going to cut our onion to begin with. And what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to make 4 horizontal cuts across the plane of the onion because we want a nice chunky onion in our chowder because a chowder has to be, chunky.
You got it.
And then we're going to go from the other side, and we're going to take and we're going to make squares out of that. This cut is called the paisan cut.
The paisan.
Not the paisan.
Not the
cut.
paisan, the paisan.
Exactly.
Look at that. Look how far I've come, huh? Look how far I've come. Good point, Chef. The paisan cut, that's for onions. The paisan cut, on the other hand, could take off a finger, your hand, an arm, your ear.
Quite often when a lot of people are doing this recipe, they don't realize how actually very simple it is. Cooking doesn't have to be a chore that you sit back and say to yourself, oh my God, what a daunting thing I'm getting into. In a lot of cases, I like to follow the whole minimalist style where less is more. Presentation is part and parcel to the whole experience. It has to be the one focal point for me as they're walking out. It's kind of like your first impression is your last impression. It's the one that they're going to go, oh, wait a second, this is an Instagram moment, or this is a, holy cow, I've got to get that moment as they're watching someone else's plate walk by. So that's it, and that's actually a technique in the restaurant industry, just kind of like if you want to motivate a sale, you move throughout the dining room with the product before you go to the table so everybody can see it. So if it's visually appealing, you're definitely bumping your chances at a higher percentage to sell that product and make sure that your guest is walking out very happy. So it's pretty important.
Educational show today, folks, right here. My man, Chef Pete. Now let's check in with Kristi and our fun food facts.
Let's talk sweets, Wayno's favorite topic. In a survey conducted in 1951 of the U.S. Armed Services, banana cream pie was the favorite dessert. Rice pudding was the least liked. Although I think Wayno likes that one too.
So we're going to take the top and the bottom off. And we're going to reserve those on the side.
I just got to say, look how my cutting has come along here. I'm getting, when you're with the big dogs, you got to bring your game up a level.
So we're going to take down the edges. You don't have to go very deep. We're just going to square this off. And then once we've got that done, you're just going to turn your flat planks of potato into kind of a stick.
And I want to say, too, you helped us out this year. We had a major cookout at the American Legion, and Chef Pete was kind enough to donate all the hot dogs. And
it was definitely my pleasure. Anytime we can do anything like that, it's always really nice to give back.
All right, dice is good. Man, this thing's sticking to my thing here, but that's all right. Look at that. How's that, Chef, huh?
Perfect. Chowder ready. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add our potatoes and our onions into this pan as soon as it gets a little bit warm. Okay. And we're going to start bringing them to a light saute. Yeah, once your onions and your celery start to release.
So no oil in that, Chef, right?
I didn't put any oil into it. I'm going to break it down with its natural juices. I don't want to make an oily chowder because we're adding later on into a roux. And the roux has been cooked down with a little bit of butter and flour to soften it up and get it ready to go in there. That's going to be our thickening agent. So adding too much fat to it, you have the opportunity where you could have it break. And when I say break, the oils are going to separate from the milk, and you're going to have puddles of oil floating on the top of your chowder, which is never good. So we're going to layer our seasoning. We're going to start putting a little bit of salt and pepper into the product. Pepper is the one thing we will not add in every layer, because that's going to be a to taste, as well as the salt. But you want to start having that salt penetrate the vegetables, so that way you're not getting a piece of the chowder that is unseasoned, where something else may taste a little bit more seasoned. So it's about balancing it out.
Great point. Great point.
So we're going to break out our chopped clams, which it's a chopped ocean clam, and it's in a light broth made of the clams themselves. Lots of clams.
Wow.
You know, one of the things that I hate to see when I go to a restaurant is they get clam chowder and you're eating it. Well, not me, because like I said, I'm allergic to them.
Right.
Is that there's not enough clams in it.
Yeah.
It's clam chowder.
Yeah.
Therefore, it needs to have clams.
Man after my own heart. Good
So it
man.
has to be abundant. Yes.
Yes.
We're about abundance.
Hell, look at the size of us. Of course we're about abundance. I mean, we didn't miss too many meals, folks.
No,
Tell you
I
that.
am definitely not missing meals. All right, so at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to bring that up, get it to the point that it is starting to boil. And again, I like to use a milk product without a ton of fat in it, because I don't want to have happen where all of a sudden halfway through the cooking process, it gets a little bit too much heat and the fat separates from the cream products. And our potatoes, being more dense, are going to take a little bit longer to cook, but I don't like to cook the craziness out of them, because then what's happening is you've got mushy potatoes in your chowder. Did you get a little splash?
Just a little bit, rookie. You got to hold it down a little closer. That's it.
Once that comes up to a rapid rolling boil, what we're going to do at that point is we're going to add our roux. Our roux, you're going to add again a little bit at a time, so that way you're not having it tighten up so much you've got a block of chowder as opposed to a nice creamy velvety soup that you want to eat.
Right here.
All right, so at this point we've got a nice rolling boil going. We want to go crazy with the boil, so we want it to boil over the top. I'm going to add the roux, and Wayno is going to stir. So you want to get right down in there, start agitating it a bit. You don't want to go crazy with it, just keep it moving. And we're going to add the roux in slowly. And I do a nice light roux, so that way we don't have a lot of chunks. All right, as you can see, it's already starting to come together. We're getting a nice thickness to it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to back off on the roux, and I'm going to let you finish moving that into that.
And how do you like your vegetables in here? Your potatoes and your celery. Do you like them a little bit crunchy?
I like them to have a little tiny bit of a bite, but again, it's a part. You know, one of the biggest things is to make sure that they are cooked. You don't want to have something going out that's too undercooked. And you definitely don't want it to be overcooked to the point that when you're eating it, you can strain it through your teeth. So it's, you know, you want to have a chew to it. It is, you know, akin to a stew. All right, so look at that. We are at that point, so we can go ahead and vanquish the whisk.
Okay.
We've hit our proper. I'm going to pull that out of the way for you.
A definite term there. Vanquish the whisk.
I mean, you can't over whisk it, and you can see right there with the boil, we're going to go ahead and turn off the heat. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to adjust our seasoning, and I'm going to let you do that, so that way I don't have to go to the hospital.
Oh, no, we don't want you to go. Okay, so sample a little bit?
Go ahead and have a little sample.
Right.
Be very careful. It is pretty hot. I'm sure we're probably going to have to add some salt, but I'm going to let you be the chef today and tell me what that means.
Wow, that's really, really, really good. I think maybe just a little bit more salt.
A little bit more
just
salt.
Just a little bit more.
You heard it. The chef said more salt.
That's right. That's the way I like to do it. Chef, do you mind? I've always wanted to do this when I cook.
Hey, there you go.
All right?
Look at that. Perfect.
Looks official now, right?
You are official. We've adjusted our seasoning. We're good to go. And I'm saying this chowder looks like it's ready for the line.
Oh, let's go, man. Let's dig in.
Are you ready?
Let's dig in, yeah.
All
I'm all over it. We're going to dig in, and when we come back, we're going to have some chowder. All here on the mess hall. Be right back.
Hello, this is Mitchell Keel, United States Marine Corps veteran and post commander of American Legion 125 in North Adams, Massachusetts. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank my brother in arms, Peter Belmonte, for his service. Pete, it's an honor to be your brother. Semper Fi, Marine.
First of all, my man, that chowder, it's out of this world. It
Thank you.
really
Thank
excellent,
you.
excellent. And I've got my own little recipe now. Can I steal this?
Absolutely.
All right, you're a good man. Good man.
Absolutely.
You serve in the United States Marine Corps from 89 to 94. 10 days after your graduation, you're at Parris Island. Just a little bit of an eye-opener for you, huh?
Very big eye-opener. Yeah, it was, when you get to the island, first of all, you get there at night. And you're so confused. You're out of your element. You have no idea what's going on. I watched Full Metal Jacket prior to going in the Marines. I still went. And when you get there, you're kind of in this state of mind where you're thinking it's going to be like the movie, but you're not sure. And then when you do get there, this guy gets on the bus and he welcomes you to the Marine Corps base, Parris Island. And next thing you know, you're standing on the yellow footprints and you're passing through the stainless hatches that you'll never pass through again, just one time. And your life just turns upside down. All of a sudden, you're just in this environment that is totally obscure. It's like being on Mars. Within a week of receiving, you end up, you're getting issued your rifle and your kit to go back to train, and you've got your bags and whatnot. And I remember looking after I got my rifle, and I'm standing there, and I'm looking across the street, and I see this big fella standing there just staring at me. And I was like, I don't know, he's staring at me, I'm going to stare back. Mentality, completely wrong. Should have just mind my own business and went about. But that was my introduction to my senior drill instructor. I had no idea he was my senior drill instructor at that point. It was just one of those things. Hey, there's a guy in camouflage staring at me. In reality, at that point, you don't realize that it's the beginning of the best stage of your life. You've gone ahead and essentially you're at the beginning process of tearing yourself down to zero and then building yourself up from there, because once you hit the bottom, you have no place else to go. You have to go up, and they're there to essentially take you to that 0 point where you sit back and you say to yourself, oh my God, what did I do? And then they start building you up from there. So you're building your confidence, you're building your physical appearance, your mental aptitude, everything gets hammered out, and he's the guy who does it. He's the guy who makes sure that the other two drill instructors are doing exactly what they're supposed to do.
13 weeks of basic, then Marine combat training, 8 weeks of infantry school, then the security forces school, which you described as a dismal swamp.
Yeah. So Marine combat training started out in North Carolina at Camp Geiger, which is very close to Camp Lejeune. And there's a lot of swampy aspects of it there and whatever, and you train in and out of it, and then you go to infantry school or whatever your occupational specialty school is going to be. And then from there, you either get shipped out into the fleet or you go on to a B-billet school. For me, I went on to my B-billet school, which is Marine Corps Security Forces and Marine Corps Security Force Battalion. And their training was at a property in just between Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and Virginia Beach. There's a little strip of property they call the Dismal Swamp. And in the middle of the Dismal Swamp was where we trained to become Marine security guards, to be put into positions throughout Security Forces Battalion where you learn anti-terrorism, you learn all the different close physical security aspects of your job.
Once again, here's Kristi with our Tito's Handmade Vodka drink of the day.
Thanks, Wayno. Our segment today is sponsored by our good friends at Tito's Handmade Vodka. We're going to be mixing up a delicious cocktail, so grab your shaker and let's get started. This is our Tito's Greyhound. Add ice, add 1.5 ounces of Tito's Handmade Vodka into a highball glass, top with grapefruit juice. Garnish with a lime wheel, and voila, there is your Tito's Greyhound.
You then get stationed on the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. What are the holidays like for you when you're at sea?
Holidays at sea. Well, there's 2 points in your career or tour on board an aircraft carrier, any ship afloat, where you get really good food. You get great, and I say really good at that point, these guys are in the kitchen 24 hours a day. So all of a sudden on a holiday, there'll be either prime rib, there'll be steak. Sometimes there's lobster. But you're getting a great holiday. The other time that you get really good food is if you're going to be deployed or if you're going into an action zone of some sort, because they're trying to get, bring you at ease, give you a little bit of a comfort at home. But specifically the holidays on a ship, it's all about camaraderie, because you literally have just the other servicemen around you, sailors and Marines, and where a lot of people sit back and they see the conflict amongst the services. Oh, the Army picks on the Navy and so on and so forth, and the Marines pick on the Navy, and the Marines pick on everybody. But I had to say that.
You get assigned to a Marine Corps Security Forces battalion at the Norfolk Naval Base in Virginia. It's a massive, massive base.
Huge.
What was your impression of that?
Well, I had two major impressions in my very short career in the military, which were the day that I got to the aircraft carrier, walking as a private first class, looking up with my sea bag on my shoulder and saying, how does that much metal float? And then getting to the naval base, and having been on the base in the Dismal Swamp, it was very small. And literally, I think they may have had a bowling alley and a place to get some sandwiches or something. But you get to the Norfolk Naval Operations Base, and it is a city inside itself. It's got so many gates, you have no idea where you're at, and you're just sitting back saying to yourself, holy cow, how am I going to even figure out where I need to be, how I'm going to get there, what time I'm going to get there, and keep myself from getting in trouble, because I'm not where I'm supposed to be. So you're just sitting in awe. Oh my God, there's a McDonald's, there's a Burger King, there's a baseball field, there's a movie theater, there's a mall. And you just start taking all this in, and it's kind of overwhelming. But then you start saying to yourself, all right, the majority of this I'm not even going to ever see, because I'm going to be working, and I'm just going to go about my business. But it's pretty impressive to see that. I mean, you've got a helicopter base, you've got an airport. It's crazy. It's just enormous.
I asked you once if you had a mentor. And you gave me a great answer.
Mentorship in the military, it's kind of an all-encompassing thing, because you have your physical mentors that are your bosses, your non-commissioned officers. The majority of your mentorship comes from the gentleman in front of you and the Marine behind you, because those are the guys that are going to have your back no matter what. They're the ones that are going to teach the Marine in front of you, whether he's your non-commissioned officer or someone who's just been in the Marine Corps just a little bit longer than you and has the information that you need in order to exist as a Marine and become better at what you do. So you rely on him to essentially cover you and to make sure that you're learning what you need to be effective. And then you're also mentoring the person behind you, which is the next rank down, obviously your private first class, whatever it is. So it's a different set of standards than you would find as a civilian, because we inherently rely on one another to really make sure, that we're operating as one, that we're trained effectively, so that way he knows that his life is as valuable to me as mine is to his. So it's all part and parcel to surviving the military, is making sure that we're mentoring one another.
You told me one of the most glorifying things that you've ever done in your life was to become a Marine, and you were very emotional and very passionate about that. Touch on that for us.
Yeah. When I was 13 years old, they bombed the barracks in Lebanon, and over 200 Marines lost their lives on that day, and I just remember it just being a gut punch to me. It was something that you really sit back and you take stock of yourself. And my parents had to come pick me up from the Marine Corps recruiting office that day, because at 13 years old, I just wanted to go essentially kick ass and take names. I just was really upset by the whole thing, and the recruiter at that point said to me, hey, come back in 5 years. We got a spot for you. And, that's what it's about. It's about putting your country before yourself. It's about taking that step to help, make sure that you're trying to assure the longevity of your country, through your own personal sacrifice and service. That's important to, I believe, the majority of Marines. It's one thing that you wake up on a daily basis and you say to yourself, how can I affect change? How can I help make this whole American experiment become an amazing thing? There's a lot of history, a lot of people that have come before me that have given everything. They don't get to come back from the foreign shores. So, it behooves every young Marine to emulate that and really sit back and not just emulate it, but remember that someone's really put it all out there, and you gotta give back.
Well, I want to thank you very much for giving back today. Thank you, most importantly, for your great service to our country, my friend.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.
Always.
Thank you.
Thanks much, and awesome chowder.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thanks so much.
Well, folks, that's our show here at the Williams Inn today. Special thanks to Corporal Pete Belmonte, my good friend, and the wonderful staff here at the Williams Inn. A special shout out to my good friend, Sergeant Barry Funfar, Vietnam veteran, 127 missions flown as a door gunner for the United States Marine Corps. For the great mess hall staff, I'm Wayne Soares. Make it a great day.